Hey guys, Andy here. Welcome back to a brand new video. So I've been watching a few Angry Grandpa videos. One of them was talking about reminiscing about the old days. That got me thinking. I must do a video about when I was growing up. So I was born in 1999, and people say like party like it's 1999. I say the party about like the year I was born in, 1999. I grew up in the early mid 2000s. Mind you, it was a different time back then. Well, there was the internet. Well, I grew up during the America Online days, and dial-up internet too. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that a lot of kids grew up in the early to mid 2000s. Dial-up internet, AOL, and MySpace too. And I never heard of MySpace, but I heard of YouTube way back in 2006. I used to watch everything imaginable on there, like the first ever videos of like Smosh, and there was like MSTS videos. For those who don't know what MSTS is, it stands for Microsoft Train Simulator. I used to watch a lot of those MSTS videos, and one of them stuck out to me the most was like this train race skin. It said like MySpace on it, on the train MSTS, no doubt. Best time on YouTube, like it was like the golden age of YouTube, and the internet itself. Well, there was no such thing. Well, there was online shopping, but it was like very young back then. I could be wrong here, but if you had to buy a book, you couldn't do it online. You have to go to a bookstore just to get it. Now, when Dad ever visits me, things change. Well, things change for him because when he was down here, well, when he lived down here with me and my mom, it was different. Yeah, everything's different back then because in downtown Kennesaw, no doubt, there was nothing down there except for like this train store that's converted to like a restaurant. It was like a hobby store, not as good as Hobby Town though. Hobby Town USA in Kennesaw, no doubt. I used to go there all the time when I was a kid, and Dad and I still do. You know, wish I can go back to my childhood, but you can't. There's no way. But still, it's nice to remember it, you know? And believe me, my childhood was good. Now, back then, I used to have VHS tapes. Yes, I had VHS tapes back then. Thank you very much. Mind you, I had no DVDs yet. But now, look there. A lot of DVDs there, and not a single VHS tape. I'm pretty sure VHS tapes are sold at like thrift stores, for example, like Goodwill, for example, Goodwill, or like Amazon, like these online retailers. Yeah, VHS tapes. I had like Tom's VHS tapes and whatnot. Also, I've seen a lot of VHS tapes in my lifetime, especially with I Love Toy Trains. For those who don't know what that is, it's like a live action train video. Well, it's from this company called TM Books and Video. They have like an online store which they sell DVDs and whatnot. And I think they still sell VHS tapes, but I could be wrong here. And yeah, VHS tapes were more like like a commodity almost for most of everyone's childhood, including mine, for example. I used to watch a lot of VHS tapes back then because, well, we had VHS back then, and Grandma used to have like a TV in her room with like a built-in VHS cassette tape player. And nowadays we have like online media such as like TV shows, movies, YouTube videos, even game consoles like the Xbox One and the 360. And I used to grow up during like the sixth and seventh generation console period with like the PS2, the PS3. I also had a VTech V Small back then. It was like the first game console I've ever played. But my first actual game console was a 360, an Xbox 360, no doubt. Now with all the technology being invented these days, such as AirPods, for example, back then we had no wireless earphones. We had to have like wired earphones, and that was a pain in the ass because I had to untangle the cord and everything else. So thank God we got these. Yep, wireless AirPods, no doubt. Is that right there? And we had no sound bars back then. We had these these big speakers. But thank God we have this sound bar. I still love it. And we had TVs back then, but we had these freaking tube TVs and whatnot. I used to grow up with that, a tube TV. And all the shows and cartoons back then were perfect. Like, like the first season of SpongeBob and all of the first few seasons of any TV show is good. You know, it's my opinion. If you have different opinions, say in the comments below. But keep it civil, guys. Keep it civil here. So anyway, and movies back then, perfect. And I used to see like these trailers of like movies that tied into like the movie itself, like Thomas and the Magic Railroad, with Madeline the movie, the live action version way back in like 1998. Well, it was released back in '98, but I haven't seen it yet. And cartoons like Total Drama Island, SpongeBob SquarePants, the Mr. Men Show, all those cartoons I watched on Cartoon Network, no doubt too. Yeah, Cartoon Network, the good Cartoon Network, like from the early to mid to late 2000s. There was I think there was like C and Real, I think, with Destroy Build Destroy. It's called Cartoon Network for a reason. Cartoons. Well, they tried to branch out into like live action shows, but Nickelodeon got to it first. Yeah, Nickelodeon had live shows like Drake and Josh, Zoe 101, iCarly, Nancy Classified School Survival Guide. How do you know this stuff? Simple. I watched it. Yeah, now with in the 21st century, no doubt too. And everything was like good back then, like snacks, food, drinks, you name it. It was a good time back then too, man. It was a good time. It was a good time back then too. Back then, we used to go to the movies, and well, mind you, like I said, with the rise of digital media and game consoles having multi entertainment purposes such as like DVDs and Blu-rays. Yeah, I think the PS3 was like the first home entertainment system on one console. I used to have a PS3 back then. I used to have a PS3, but now I used to have like the Xbox 360s, one Nintendo Wii, a PS3. Also have a Wii U, which isn't now in pieces now, but it was fun while it lasted, you know. Yeah, I still have a 360. I still have it. I still have mine right here, as you can tell. Yeah, right there. Right above it is my Xbox One S. Yeah, and plus, back then you couldn't, you can record a show or like a movie on your TV back then. Had to watch it whenever it was on. I guess most of us in the early to mid 2000s was a pain. Even our parents back then too. It was a pain in the ass. But thanks to the rise of like cable boxes, like that have like built-in recorders, so you can record your show and play it back later. But back then you had to use like like tapes to record and show and everything, which was a pain in the ass. That was way back in the 1980s, no doubt. I wasn't born in the 80s back then. I wasn't born yet. That wasn't even thought of back then either. So yeah, and everything back then was just perfect, you know. And boy, if I have kids one day though, which I probably will have one day though, I'll tell them all about my childhood back in the 90s and 2000s. They'll love it. So, yeah, it's impressive, I know. My childhood was impressive. So that what does it. See you dudes. Hope you guys enjoyed my little story about my childhood. See ya. See ya.